Welcome to Business on Purpose, the podcast for hardworking entrepreneurs who drive our economy. I'm your host, Barry Barrett, and as a sales leader and business owner, I understand the challenges that come with entrepreneurship. Each episode, I am interviewing business owners who have faced the same struggles you have. Low revenue, a lack of scalability in their sales force. Together, we're going to explore their entrepreneurial journey and uncover the valuable lessons they've learned along the way. From mentors to advice, we'll dive deep into what has helped these business owners get unstuck and move forward towards success. Whether you're just starting out or you're a seasoned entrepreneur, the podcast is for you. Be sure and follow and subscribe to this podcast as we learn from the experiences of successful business owners and navigate the road to entrepreneurship together. Let's get started. Amy Holtz, fellow EOS implementer, welcome to the show. Amy is like I said, a implementer like me. She is a ball of energy. She has accomplished great things in her life. So Amy, welcome. And we're going to learn a lot about you today and some of your advice and best practices and all those good things. So welcome to the show.
Thank you, Barry. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah. So Amy, let's dive right in. Everybody's chomping at the bit to know, where did you get your start in this business owner, this entrepreneurial thing?
I started as a banker and a lawyer, hated both of those, joined a family business, which when I joined was a chain of 8 independent party stores doing about $8 million in revenue. And I discovered I loved building a business. I just love the go-go, the figuring things out. I love solving the puzzle of a business. Spent 15 years there, and we grew it into Party City's largest franchise with over $75 million in revenue, 900 employees, and 25 stores. And then I sold that and built a film company, a nonprofit film company with a partner. It was his business, and I joined and built that for 7 years. So that's a little bit of my background.
Oh, wow. Let me ask you this. Who were your mentors? Who helped you through this whole thing?
It's funny. I didn't really have any mentors till I was about 50. I learned a lot from my father and my brother, but I made it up mostly as I went along. And what I realized, one of my mistakes was I didn't know how to ask for help. And success really is dependent on asking for help and growing and learning. One of the things I discovered along my journey was I had this realization where I wasn't going to let my insecurities get in the way of achieving what I wanted to achieve in this world. So that was when I started to become very growth oriented and started asking for help.
Oh, wow. Say that again. You can't grow without help. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying, I recently read, actually, the minute you say, I don't know, is the minute you could start learning. But
where did you read that? Because I say that all the time.
Maybe you said it the other day when we were at EOS. I don't know.
Yeah, because one of the things that I talk about is the trick question. And I got this from Seth Godin. He said the only reason
where I read it. That's where I think I read it.
Was it Seth Godin? Good. Because
I don't know. I can't remember.
I'll tell you the quote. He says, man, the reason a trick question is the trick question is because you don't know the trick. Once you know the trick, it's no longer a trick question. And so basically, you cannot learn until you get to I don't know. That's why in the session room or in a sales process, I'll ask a question that I know they don't know the answer, because the real answer only lives in my head. Right. So when they're sitting there thinking, and I let it be silent, I just sit there and let them think. And then pretty soon somebody goes, I just don't know. Or after everybody starts all their guesses and I keep telling them no, they say, we don't know. And I go, okay, good. Now learning can begin, because you can't learn until you get to I don't know.
Exactly. And you can't grow until you learn. And the world is moving so quickly. So we constantly need to be skilling up. So the need to learn is more important than ever.
Oh, I love that so much. So who were those people you learned from?
I take 1 million courses. I learn from people like you. I never let an opportunity go by without learning. I'm constantly asking people questions all the time. There's so much online now. I'm addicted to all these mini courses. I sign up for a lot of mini courses, and I read a ton of books.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I resemble that. What's your fact finder in the Colby?
in 8. I consider it a
Yeah.
curse.
What is your Colby while we're on it?
9483.
9483. So you're a
Yeah.
9 fact finder,
Yeah.
follow through, 8 quick start, 3 implementer.
Exactly.
So I am a 7292. So you and I are really close. We're both the entrepreneur. Imagine that. So
Yep.
yeah, I knew what you guys didn't hear, you're not going to hear, is the 30-minute interview that she did on me when she got on here. She starts asking me all these questions. I'm like, wait a minute, you are not supposed to be interviewing me. So Amy, that's fantastic. So it sounds like the people who aren't actually there be your mentor. And so you can have access to mentors galore.
Absolutely. They're everywhere. They're
I love
everywhere.
that. I
But I
love
do want to share something that you said when we were speaking, which was really what I realized and is a weakness in my Colby, is the follow through piece. I
Mm,
was very good at building a business building the sales, but I didn't build the infrastructure to support it. So when you were talking about I think you were talking about one of your clients, the sales got so good, but the operations couldn't keep up.
mm-hmm,
That's exactly what happened to me both times. And
mm.
the reason I teach, and I think that's reflected in my low follow through. And the reason I teach EOS is I like people to avoid all the mistakes that I made. And I always say if I had EOS when I was running my businesses, I could have avoided every one of my leadership mistakes. But it puts in that whole operations piece. And sometimes an organization is in strong need of internal growth, not just that external growth that I'm in love with, more market share, more revenue. And you just reminded me of that. And it ties into our low Colby in the follow through, I think.
Oh yeah. So my wife, I'm lucky to live with my follow through. She's a 7832, which is a 7 fact finder. She's a high fact finder like us. And then she's an 8 follow through, a 2 quick start, and a 3 implementer, which means she is not going to do something until we have a system built.
Wow, you were smart in your choice of marriage.
I don't know, lucky, smart, because I don't know how smart I was when I was 27. But yeah, I think people would disagree with you. I got more lucky than smart, but I think that people like us, I'm the same way. It's so funny. We know how to sell stuff. We know how to build stuff. We know how to start stuff, not build it. We know how to start stuff. And if we can have the people who we can just hand it on to and just let them run with it and let go in the beginning and let them design it. We have the ideas, we sell it, and then they can build it and design it and let it go. I think we can just do that a million times over. How fun would that be?
It would be amazing. And that ties into my second biggest mistake
Mm,
was I felt the need to do everything. So
mm,
when I ran my party stores, I was everything from chief marketing officer to buyer to cashier. One day I was unloading a truck and one of the kids said to me, Amy, you'd make a great stock guy. And I thought it was a great compliment, but I did everything. So what was the mistake there? The mistake was you can only do so much well. And my kids would call me when they were growing up, they always called me the bitch CEO. And the reason they called me that, what I know now is what we teach in our delegate and elevate tool. I spent most of my day doing things I was good at, but did not enjoy. And we
mm,
call that sort of hell,
mm.
right? Because people don't want you to give it up because you're good at it, but it sucks your energy, it drains your energy, and it affects everybody in the organization. It affects your family, it affects everybody in your organization. I believe as CEO, you're the chief energy officer. And so if we were, as visionaries, were doing what you said, creating the vision, helping with big relationships, solving complex problems, it would be such a game changer for the business. And we would give everyone the energy they need.
Mm, that's so good. In my former, and not even former, what I do sometimes is I train people. And so what I found out is I'm really good with people for the first 3 to 6 months training them. After that 3 to 6 months, it's funny. The ongoing training falls into my good at, don't like bucket. So what I realized is my great at and love bucket is starting with new people, training the basics, getting them wired up and fired up, and going to execute those basics, and then handing it off to my trainer. And he's really good at maintaining and coaching people long term. And that is in his love and great at bucket. So, what do you think about these things that we love and we're great at for a while? And I think you probably resemble that remark. Tell us about that.
That's the story of my life. I've reinvented myself 7 times because I get bored.
Yeah.
I love that mastery, and then I love to move on. But I think it's important that you recognize that. And I think it's a great gift to your client, because you could blow all that energy and you could get them excited, and then you could give them somebody who can maintain it. I think it's just knowing who you are and where you fit. I think everyone has a unique purpose and everybody has a gift to give.
Mm,
And just knowing where that is, because then you'll be in that state of flow. You'll be so happy. It changes everything.
that is so good. So tell me where you've had challenge in your revenue and in your sales in your career. And was it individually? Was it a sales team challenge? Tell me about that.
I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to use the Party City example, because with
Okay.
Party City, it's picking product, it's new product lines, it's things like that. But when I was involved with this media company, I had to become a fundraiser.
Mm,
And that's really, fundraising is sales. And before I started, I said to the guy, there's 2 things, the founder of the organization, there are 2 things I'm never doing. I'm never fundraising and I'm never speaking in public. That became my entire job, because if I wanted to do what I wanted to accomplish with this company, I had to fund. So first of all, I believe you could develop any skill
yeah.
if you want to.
Hmm. So it makes it a skill.
There you go. And that's why I say I don't let my insecurities get in the way of achieving
Hmm.
what I want to accomplish in this world. So for me, what I believe with sales and fundraising is it's a relationship business, and it's very easy to make it a transaction,
Hmm.
because there's so much pressure to get the deal done. And I believe you win by creating relationships. And the thing that made me a good salesperson at first, or a good fundraiser, at first, I was listening to all these tapes of how to fundraise. And I was trying to be the person who was speaking in these tapes. And the minute I stopped being that person and started being myself, that's when I started to raise money.
Heck
And I
yeah.
believe, so you got to be authentically you, nobody else. Everyone else is taken anyway, but
Hmm.
be you. And I think that's the key to fundraising and growing your sales. And the other point that you and I were talking about earlier is how to have a great conversation.
Hmm.
So I mastered this skill when I was a kid, because I thought life was about being popular. So I decided I'd read Dale Carnegie's book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. And I followed it to a T, and I became popular. And what I learned, which is what we talked on, which is what we discussed earlier, is if you want to have a good conversation, just shut up and listen, ask questions.
Mm.
When 2 people have a conversation, if one person does all the talking, even if it's a monologue, they'll walk away and say, that was a great conversation.
Yeah.
So I think the key to sales is asking questions and shutting up. It's building relationships, letting people talk. People need to feel seen, heard, and validated.
Yeah. So one of the things that people struggle with when they do build a relationship is being able now to have a relationship, feel like you're a friend to someone, and then asking for the sale. I think for you and I, that is a very easy thing to compartmentalize, but I think for the vast majority of people, it's not. So give us some advice. Once someone builds a relationship, how do you make sure that you can still maintain the ability to sell to that person?
It's funny because I struggle with that. When I was fundraising, there was somebody I chased for a long time. They were a billionaire, and I spent years building a relationship with them in order to raise money. And it turns out in the process, I started to really like them, and we became very good friends.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know how to deal with it. And I dealt with it the way that I deal with everything, which is open and honest. And I said, listen, this is really uncomfortable for me. but I have to put it out on the table. They happen to be a philanthropist. I said, everybody asks you for money. And I even said, I started this relationship because I wanted you to become a donor. I really like you, but everyone's asking you for money. And can I?
You know what you did right there?
What?
You labeled his emotion. You didn't feel his emotion, because feeling someone's emotion, having sympathy or empathy, people call it different things, but you said label, this is what it can seem like or sound like. You gave him the reason, you were transparent with it. We developed a relationship. You said, I know that you're feeling these things. And then he was like, okay with it. And that's what the fear of most people is to label it and call it out.
But I was labeling my emotion. I was saying, I feel uncomfortable. I labeled my emotion.
You
not their
did
emotion.
you did both.
Okay.
If you want to think about it, because you labeled your emotion so he could feel his and just call it out. So yeah, you're right. But you were doing it both ways.
Okay, good. So that's great. Good. I'm glad I did something right.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. One of the things that we teach is called future hesitators, which you know it's coming. And I learned this from the great Tom Hopkins, that hesitation, objection is coming. So you just call it out and you go, I know that everybody asks you for money. That's what you did.
And then you just shut up.
You tell them, and I know that I am. And then you can shut up, or you can just go on with what you're trying to ask him for. So you can do a couple of different things, but you can go on and ask him for the ask, because you future hesitator. So if I say, I used to do car repair, right? And so you would come in and said, Amy, we're going to do an inspection on this, and we're going to come up with, don't be surprised when we come up with this long list of issues on your vehicle. Now, don't worry, I'm not going to tell you you're going to have to fix everything today, because I knew that was coming. I'm not going to fix everything today. So I would just call it out because I knew it was coming. So what you did is call it out because you felt like it may be coming.
So that's a good thing to do. Put it on the table.
It's a beautiful thing to do. And
Put what
people are afraid
everybody's
of
thinking
it.
of, put what everybody's thinking on the table. Why is everyone afraid of it? Because everyone's thinking about it anyway.
That's exactly right. So good. Stepping into the danger, we call it, right?
All right. Yeah, we do.
So have you ever built a sales team, or did you do that on your own all the time?
No, we built a sales team. The guy that I worked with, whose business it was, really insistent that we constantly be building a team of fundraisers, even though the bulk of the fundraising was coming from us. There was a lot of wisdom in it. However, I think being cut out for sales is definitely not for everybody.
No, absolutely not. Who do you think it's not cut out for?
I think you have to have a lot of tenacity. I always used to say I was a stalker. I'm in the stalker business. That's how I would make fun of it. So I think you have to have a lot of tenacity, and you have to be really willing to go after things. Although in our business, it's a much softer sell. I don't even look at what we do as selling EOS. I look at it as helping. We're giving people a gift. Whereas with fundraising, it felt like much more of a sale. This feels like it's a relationship, and it's really giving somebody a gift.
So I think that fundraising is the same thing. With due respect to you, I think that everything that you're selling is a gift to the person who's buying, or you're a charlatan. So when someone is fundraising, and why would I give money to something, especially that? It's a gift to be able to give to a greater cause bigger than you.
You're 100% right. You're 100% right. You're 100% right. It comes from my inability to ask for help. Asking for money was even harder.
Yeah. So you said that not everybody's cut out for sales, and you said, and the reason you gave was because you have to have tenacity. You have to be able to ask. And Judge Ziglar, who is Zig Ziglar's brother, wrote a book called Timid Salespeople Have Skinny Kids. Right? That tenacity, the ability to ask for something. Is that a skill, or is it a gift?
It's a combination. I think if I could learn to fundraise, anyone can. I call that the 20 seconds of courage. I
Gotcha.
think when you have a strong enough why, you can make it happen. We were doing films about Israel and we were building these about the IDF, and we were doing these great films. I believed in them so much. The
Hmm.
why was strong enough to get me through the 20 seconds of courage.
Yeah. So it sounds to me like it's a skill and it could be learned.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, there are people who have a gift to be able to step into the danger. I think I was born to be able to ask people hard questions and not really worry too much about what they think about me. I will tell you that I was trained to do that because everybody to some level has this human emotion that they don't want to be excommunicated from the tribe. So
Right.
if they say the wrong thing, they can be excommunicated from the tribe. There are people who are born more bold. I was in the Marine Corps too, and there are some people who run toward the danger. There are some people who run away from the danger. There are people who in the Marine Corps were the type of people to run away from danger, and they taught them to run toward the danger. I think there's all kinds of skill sets and gifts, but I tell people you need your gifts, but they should all come with a warning label that gifts, some assembly should be required, is required. And so you have this set of gifts, but you assemble it over time through training, through learning, all those types of things. So that's where I think that everything is a skill can be learned.
I completely agree. Everything can be learned. And I think we're a work in process. I think that we're here in this world to grow.
Yeah. You said earlier you're a lawyer,
Yeah,
a recovering one. I
yeah,
think that I would
that
have
was a
had
bad match.
yeah, I would have had the raw ability to be a lawyer. But I do say this in the most meaningful way. It's not even a joke. I don't think that I have the focus to be able to invest the time and learning that it takes to become a lawyer. That's why college never worked for me. School never worked for me because it's about staying focused on things that you don't feel are important, but other people do. And I'm only focused when things are important to me.
It's great that you didn't follow the wrong path. You
Oh,
got to do what's right for you. I didn't know what to do, so I figured I'd go to law school. It was a mistake. I practiced law for a
so
few years
good.
and it was a lot of fun, but it wasn't a passion. It wasn't the right choice. I stumbled into the right choice. I got lucky.
So we both, you mentioned Seth Godin earlier, and I did too. He gives the example of a person who went to law school, and when he talks about, have you ever heard him talk about sunk cost?
No,
Yeah, he gives
I
the
never heard
example of
about that.
sunk cost. He says you go to law school, you've invested 8 years, $150,000, whatever that looks like, and people say to themselves, I have to be a lawyer for the rest of my life because of this decision that I made. And what you said was beautiful. You're like, no, you can make a new decision. And he
And
calls
that
that sunk cost.
100%. And really in business, it's the same thing. If you make a mistake, acknowledge it,
Mm,
get rid of it. So many people will make a mistake, whether it's a hiring mistake or anything, and they keep trying to invest in it to prove
mm,
themselves right. And when you make a mistake, you acknowledge it and you move on. To me, that's like basic business.
that is so good. So you're giving advice to three types of people: startup, growth, and there's going to be a scalability. So what's your advice to your startup?
Work hard, learn your business, be really honest about your mistakes to that point
Mm,
we just talked about, and your strengths, be ready to pivot.
nice. Growth stage.
Delegate and elevate. Don't do what I did. Don't become the bitch CEO. You can't do it all.
I love it. And then how about your scaling stage?
Processes.
Mm,
That process component that EOS, we teach the process component. I always hate processes. I can't stand doing things the same way every single time. I like to make it up, but that's not how you scale. I love this new book that we came out with, processes, that
mm,
Mike Payton came out with, and Lisa.
yeah.
If you don't have the time to write the processes, when are you going to have the time to fix it? And
Yeah.
really, it's systemizing the predictable to humanize the exceptional.
Is it right?
Game changer. Yeah.
Yeah, it
Door
is.
Sharp. It's a game changer. And you have to create processes. That's the only way you're going to scale.
Hmm. I love what both Lisa and Mike said in that book, and maybe they didn't say it in the book. Maybe I just heard them say it. Maybe it's in both. And they said that you don't create systems to fix broken people. You create systems to free great people. That's
Love
a
it. I love
little bit
that.
of a paraphrase, but I love it. You free the right people. You don't
Exactly.
fix the wrong people.
Exactly.
I
And the
love that.
biggest, yeah, and the biggest problem for a right person is a wrong person.
That's good.
It's true.
So one last piece of advice for everybody.
Do less better.
Do less bad. That's a mic drop moment right there. Amy, I really appreciate having you on. Where can people find you?
On LinkedIn or EOS Worldwide, Amy Holtz.
I love it. It's
EOS
spelled
Worldwide.
Holtz, Amy Holtz. It's been an absolute pleasure. If you need more information or advice from me, go to www.bwpcoach.com and we will happily help you there. Everybody have a great day and go get it.